Good morning.
How you doing, Keith?
I am good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
E-
Looking forward to your class today.
Excellent.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Good
Note taker
morning,
galore.
Debbie.
Wow.
Good morning, Jackson.
Morning.
We'll give people a minute to get logged in here. Hope everyone has had a great week. 1 week to Stampede Madness.
Ooh,
Are you, are you coming
might
down for
come,
some
might come
madness,
up.
Dougie?
I might come down for one day. I cannot handle 2 days. Last time, yeah, I learned after one after one event, one stampede season. That was enough to know. Don't say yes to everything. They'll burn you right out in 2 days. Oh
Isn't
well,
isn't that what me and Doug were just talking about?
that's right too. Yeah.
Funny.
You know that drinking is optional, actually.
Your liver needs a cleanse once in a while.
Drinking is optional?
Heavy drinking.
Oh.
You probably need to drink a bit, but yeah, you don't have to
You don't have to.
drink a ton. Yeah.
Pace yourself. You got to pace yourself. It's a Friday. That's going to be the theme for Friday. Pace yourself. Well, good morning, everyone. We'll see other people will keep joining here as we go. Glad to have you all here again this week. And as I like to do every week, is I want to hear any feedback from you with regards to anything that you were put into action that we reviewed and discussed last week on last week's session. So if anybody has something they'd like to share, that would be fabulous. We were talking about visibility and your transfer and helping people to create transformation. So anybody have any conversations this week that represented that they could feel that at the end of the conversation, they had given the clients a different way of looking at it and provided them with a transformation way of thinking?
Yeah, I had a little chance to speak with somebody's they're kind of into developing like a land development like software and stuff like that, right? And he's uh a younger guy, he was in the construction side of the business, right? And like I can hear in the language and the conversation that, sorry, there's a ambulance going on behind me. But yeah, like so his focus was all around the product, like just building a superior product. But I would say it was kind of maybe disconnected. So he's got a good maybe uh, he's built a good product and a process, but not necessarily a good strategy, right? So he was building it so wide, like he was trying to service everybody, right? And where I was like, well, like I was like, okay, maybe you just need to take, the 100 different ways of doing it, commercial, residential, all these things, and maybe you just need to focus on this one
Jackson, how did you
aspect.
know what my topic was for today? Like you just tied right into what I'm going to be talking about today, which is
Oh,
fabulous.
perfect.
Yeah, so that's
Great,
fabulous.
great minds think
Um,
alike, I guess, eh?
yeah, so that's fabulous. It's interesting. It's amazing. Irena's and Doug have been here, and it's amazing how that works. It happens, seems to happen quite often, doesn't it? Where like I didn't tell you what I was doing, but then I just put the energy. Oh, I just put the energy out there and knocked my glasses off too. Um, I'm so excited about it. Um, so I'll give you an example for myself. So there was a gentleman that had posted on one of the Facebook groups that I'm in with regards to, wanting someone to do basically help them finance their home. And, has down payment. He wants somebody to do seller financing. So I sent him a message saying, hey, happy to have a conversation just to discuss strategy. Oh, somebody's got a new kitty. And uh, so he reached out to me. We went back and forth with a couple messages. He's like, well, I've already, B lenders aren't an option for me and stuff. And I messaged back and I said, well, there are equity private lenders that could potentially be an option. He's like, oh, I'd like to hear about that. So then we got on a phone call, started talking through things, told me everything that's gone on in his past. He's finished a consumer proposal. He's had a foreclosure in his past and business, divorce, all these things that have happened. And he's got $50,000 saved. He's making $150K a year now. And he wants just to buy a condo. And I said, well, because of the condo market, expect that you probably need at least 30% down. You're gonna need 25 to 30% down. And to buy at 200 plus, fees and stuff, you need at least 70K. I said, like, how much can you save per month to help get that up? He's like, well, I can save about $5,000 a month. I said, fabulous. And then I said, so tell me, then we talked about his credit. And I said, well, he's got a Capital One card. I said, get yourself a Neo prepaid card as well for 2,000. I said, use them properly and diligently, and that will help build your credit score back up as well. And so by the end of the call, he was like, oh my God. He's like, you've given me such a view of what can happen within the next 6 months. He's like, I'll be in touch with you within 6 months. I said, fabulous. Let's do it. And if you have any questions along the way, reach out and let me know. He's like, absolutely. And so that's, the way that just by listening to everything that was going on, understanding what he viewed and saw as the challenges and problems were, and then just talking through it and helping him to be able to see that, yeah, there is possibility. There's possibility to private lending with more down payment, private lending, and maybe we'll be able to explore a B lender at that point if he can get his credit score up. And he was like, either one would be fabulous. So just being able to help somebody have that kind of reaction gives, such a great feeling. Anyone else? Anybody else have any
I
any
can share
transformational
my
conversations? Go
scenario
ahead.
with commercial mortgage that
Yeah.
Keith is helping me with. So I have those clients, and they already approached several banks about commercial, but their problem is that they're on work permit, and all lenders said no, and they were so upset about it because they want to buy as soon as possible, and they don't know when they will get PR. They applied for it, but it can take another couple of years, and they just hate paying rent, so they want to buy as soon as possible. And then Keith was able to find a lender who can actually consider them. And
put it on the table there. Table this
Yeah.
cigar.
so, Simran, you're not on mute.
I got him.
Okay. Yeah, and I think when somebody was rejected several times by other lenders, and then they get hope, they appreciate your services way more than someone who just comes to you and you help them get a mortgage. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's always, when we can be of service, that's when we are being our best selves.
Mm.
Really. Excellent. Well, let's get into what we got today.
Okay. Keith, I have an
Go ahead,
example.
Donalda. Go for it.
Yeah, I have an example. It's from a few months ago, but it involves Iryna. So I was dealing with a client who's married to a lady who doesn't speak English very well. She speaks Russian. And she had a misunderstanding around some of the process that we were doing in order to buy this house.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Iryna and we did a Zoom call with the husband and the wife and Iryna and I. And you could actually see the transformation on the lady. She was very closed down and like sitting with her arms crossed and whatever. And as the call went through, she loosened up and was smiling, and they went through with the deal, and it was amazing. So I just have to acknowledge Iryna. It was amazing working with her on that.
So you didn't understand a thing that was said, but you were just
No, no, not at all. No, because it was all in Russian.
There you go.
Yeah.
Was it with me or maybe it was Natalia? Because I don't
Oh, maybe it
recall
was
a call.
Natalia. Sorry. It was
Yeah,
Natalia.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
right. It was Natalia.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know
That's
what?
okay.
But
That's okay. I was like, is my memory that bad that I
Yeah.
don't recall it?
No, that's right. It was Natalia. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you know what? But that's part of that's part of this community, right? That's part of our community of how we support each other. To go out of the way to help someone else get a deal done when the client was, hadn't come to you, and you just need to help provide support to another agent. So that's wonderful. It's great to hear. I'd love to hear that, and know for sure Rich is as well. So right back to where Jackson led us in this morning, and that is about making your message magnetic, because very rarely do people remember everything you say, but they'll remember clearly how you made them think and how you made them feel. Because the world we live in now is different than, what Darnelda and Iryna and Dougie and I and even Jackson and than what those that are younger here grew up in, because everyone is visible. However, because everyone is visible, there's very few that are memorable. So, the idea that everyone can become a TikTok star or social media star, right? You ask kids, what do they want to do when they go, I want to become a social media star. The chances are even lower than becoming a hockey player, I think. So the challenge isn't getting attention. It's about being able to stand out and have people remember who you are weeks later, and not just being someone who showed up in the feed. And you want to be the one that wins those people's loyalty and trust. And earning that remembrance is the new game. It's not just about getting attention, not just getting likes, but people actually remembering you. And being the one they don't forget, which feeds back into what we've talked about previously about creating your community. Because visibility alone just isn't enough. And being seen doesn't mean being remembered. How many of you scroll on your phone and have scrolled on your phone, right? And how many messages do you just scroll by and they don't even register? So our brains can't absorb it all unless something triggers us to stop. None of that earns a place in our memory. And remember that your goal isn't just another impression. Your goal is transformation. So only a handful of the thousands of messages that we see each day do we actually stay registered with us. So being seen doesn't mean being remembered. So make sure that whatever you're doing is memorable. And part of that is becoming magnetic. There's 4 key parts to a magnetic message. It has that attraction where it draws people towards you. It's going to resonate with what they already are going through or what they're already feeling, what their challenge already is, or problem or upset that they already have. And it has that feeling that you're not looking to just have a transaction with them, that you're actually looking to build that relationship of trust. And what you say stays with them after the scroll because it resonated with them on what they had. How many of you can relate to the statement on the side here? You don't go and buy information. You remember the transformation. You go to the furniture store and you talk about the used furniture salesman, and you can go to 5 different furniture stores trying to find what you like. And you might see something you like at one store, but you just didn't like the greasy feeling that you got from the sales guy or saleswoman. And you go to another store and you see something maybe that's similar. Maybe it's not even, maybe not quite exactly what you wanted, but it looks, but the person that you're dealing with makes you feel really, they make you feel good. They feel like they took the time to listen and understand, and that they understand their product and they're not there just trying to sell you the product. And if the price being almost equal, you're going to make a decision based off of how someone made you feel, not off of just the information. Because most professionals try to appeal to everyone, right, Jackson? As you said, trying to appeal to everyone. The result of doing that is that no one remembers them. So your clarity is what creates and builds your trust. Because a broad message comes with confusion, inconsistency, and is honestly forgettable. However, when you can come across with confidence and come across as someone who can be trusted and you're creating connection, that's the kind of message that is so important, because that's the message that builds the trust. That's the message that builds the community, and that community is what creates value. And it can create referrals, and it can give you those people to be your marketing team, essentially, when they believe in you and they believe in the information you're sharing and the value that you add. Because your message is who you are. They should know instantly that they can tell that message came from you. It should be unmistakably yours. This is where your voice becomes so important, and not just relying on AI to create your material. Use AI as a template, but make sure that you review it to make sure that it sounds like you and that it's your voice. Because when they see whether they hear you speak or they see the words on the screen, it should land and hit them in seconds that they can tell that's what you stand for, who you are, and why it matters to them and why it should matter to them. Because clarity is what makes you stand out in a market that's so crowded. Make sure you're saying, if you're doing posts, and not every post, but on posts that are pertinent, where you're looking to add value, what you believe in, who you're helping, and why it matters. That message that you're putting out there needs to reflect your purpose. Why do you exist in this world? What is your purpose? Where are you going? Let people know even about what's your own mission. One of the most important one, though, is your values. What do you stand for? And what are you meant to do for people? Your messages need to be anchored in who you are, not in trends. If you're a TikTok star and that's your business, trends are important. In what we do, trends are not so important. It's more about that, your purpose, your mission, your values, your calling. Focus on your purpose and never compromise your values. And people will follow you, and people will entrust you and refer you. Because most people read their messages and their texts at a grade 5 level, even though they might be university educated. When they're looking at a social media message, they often are not looking for big, complicated words or anything. They're looking for simplicity, because those simple words that hit can be memorable. And multiple ideas in one post become muddled, and it confuses people, and then they don't buy. Only clear people do. An example of this that I've talked to Doug about this before, and I've talked to Rich and stuff about when we have our lender presentations at 9:30. When the BDM comes in and they try to cover 2, 3, 4 different products all in one session, by the end, the agents don't remember what the first product was that was talked about on the meeting. And then if they go like, well, I think something was said, and they go back to the video to try to find it. Now they got to try to figure out where in a 30 or 40-minute video that something was talked about. So by trying to cover off everything and taking their presentation longer, as opposed to keeping their presentation short, focusing on one thing, and then coming back and doing it more, they actually can confuse us as agents. And we can do the same thing to clients if we try to give them too much, give our clients too much. 4 questions that can change everything for you, though, are: what do you want to be known for? Who's my audience? Who am I speaking to? What problem or desire am I helping to solve? And what phrase, idea, purpose, belief, statement do I want people to remember? My own vision and my own purpose is all people are living a life of opportunity. And most people, when they hear that, they know that it came from me. My original purpose that I had created was all people are living a life of abundance. And some people still, when they see me, identify me with that statement, which is fine. It's just, for me, I revised it because I needed something that felt more me. And so that is a way to have people to identify with. Oh, you're the person that says that. I've heard you say that. Because people have that message filter. And so you need to do that for yourself. Make sure you're clear on your purpose, why you exist, who your audience is, and who you're serving. What's the problem? What do they struggle with? What's the promise for what you deliver? And most importantly, what's the change that you create for them? That transformation. Because that clarity in your message moves people from interest to investment. And that investment then is what moves to action. Get people to be in action. So this week, I want you to consider running that filter across every touch point that you have for clients. Your message needs to be identical everywhere that someone connects with you. And I don't mean the identical words. I mean the identical feeling, the identical purpose, the identical mission, the identical values. Audit each of those trust points and ask the question, does this reinforce the message or does it dilute it? And then figure out how to fix the gaps. So audit everything, audit every conversation. Are you giving the same message in every conversation, every presentation, every website page, every social profile, every email? Are you giving the same information? Because simplicity is important, because in the sense of you want to be able to have that focus. And often subtracting is what actually gives more focus. And remove everything that doesn't reinforce your message. Because when we take everything else out of the way, and it comes with same with dealing with clients, So if we can resolve that, if that was resolved, then what's in the way? If we get that, we can take care of that. Now what's in the way? If we take care of that, what's in the way? Oh, well, so if those are all gone, so now you have clarity and you have a purpose of how to move forward, which is what I did with the gentleman yesterday. By helping him to understand each of those pieces. And if we move that out of the way, then what else is still in the way? Oh, well, if we can move that out of the way, then what else is in the way? Well, we move that out of the way. Okay, is there anything else that's in the way? No, that's about it. Okay, let's get to work. So when you're putting your messages out there, watch for these warning signs that you're trying to please everyone, because then you end up resonating with no one. That you've got mixed or inconsistent messages, because that different story erodes your trust. Changing direction weekly, because reinvention reads as instability. So stick with a message for a period of time and not jump around. And forgetting your purpose, stick to who you are. Because when you aren't resonating with your why and you're not expressing your why, then that's when drift can occur and you can become squirrel. So have a message that's worth sharing, because attention is just rented, but belief is what is owned. Your marketing can only buy but a moment of attention. The meaning that comes behind it is what makes people stay with you. Your genuine conviction and something you truly believe in, people will feel it. And that's why it's important that if you're not a commercial broker and it's not a big interest for you, that you work with someone who has that knowledge and information and can support you in that. If you don't do a lot of investment properties, but you get someone that asking you about investment properties, you might have to consider that you need to work with someone that does that, because it's not your focus. If I get someone that's new to Canada, I don't deal with a lot of new to Canada. So I'm talking to Iryna and going, can you help this guy out, these people out? Because that's not my specialty. So just remember that your marketing attracts that attention, your meaning attracts the people, and your conviction is the most important message, powerful message of all. Make your message clear enough to be remembered and meaningful enough to be shared. If it doesn't move you, it's not going to move others. Because the strongest message is never manufactured, and it's definitely not manufactured by AI. It's something that is lived, and when people witness genuine transformation, they naturally become curious. So don't be afraid to share even your own stories of transformation or transformation that you've been able to do for others. If you have a situation where you can show that you're living the transformational change first, then the message just bridges that gap and it writes itself, and it becomes a message to your community that your community can get behind you. If you haven't experienced a transformation, then it's pretty hard to communicate it yourself. People want to be with you and part of you because they recognize themselves in your story. They feel that they have shared values with you. They can identify with you. They see your vision and believe that you also can see theirs and that you can provide that transformation. Because that's where communities are created and shared around and have shared beliefs. Because your message is the center of the community flywheel. And if you have a message worth believing, you're going to attract people. And that's going to then create that connection. Then you're going to provide them with that transformation and be an advocate for their transformation. And they'll be an advocate for you for the fact that you can provide others the transformation. And then your business will grow and they will help you to grow it. And it keeps on spinning. It keeps going. Because altogether, it creates legacy. Your clear message attracts the right people. A strong community transforms lives. And transformation creates a lasting impact. And that's the way that we build influence that outlives us. Live a legacy rather than thinking about that you want to leave a legacy. Thoughts, questions, comments, feedback.
Everything that you talked about is like me and Doug had a 20-minute conversation right before. It was like almost to the T exactly what you just talked about. It's funny. It's like a repeat conversation in my head.
Excellent.
It's amazing. I agree with everything you said.
Go ahead, Iryna.
I just wanted to add that AI, in a way, makes us be more like it, like and Keith and I, we were in that workshop about Claude, and the first thing you do to set it up, you have to write those files, and one of them is about me file, right? And this is like, if you want to get the most value from, let's say, Claude as an example, but I think any LLM or like any AI system, you have to give it context, right? Otherwise, it will not be a good tool for you. And the way you can do it, you write about me file, which is essentially where you tell it who you are, what you do, what you don't do, what your values are. And it makes and it's really easy to write it. Like, you essentially tell Claude, ask me, all the questions so you can have really good file about me. And often, yeah, like what you are about, but also what you're not. And I find that sometimes what you're not is even more important than what you're about, because this is kind of like your true beliefs and values. And so I think we all have it in our heads, right? But now AI makes us kind of like export it from our head on paper and be more, mindful about it. Or even, it's kind of like there, like you have to export it from your mind, but also be like more cognizant about it. So
Yeah. It's an awareness, right? It's
awareness, yes,
having
that's
that
the right
awareness,
word.
right? Having
Mhm.
that awareness, and not as much as, Claude can do what it can do, not giving everything over to it.
It's a tool, right?
It's a
It's a
tool.
tool,
It's a
like
tool. See it as
productivity
a
tool.
tool, not as the answer, right?
Yeah.
And, use it as a tool. It just, I used it for the first time as a tool today for Iryna, with Iryna, and, and it worked out great. Worked out great. But I spent a good amount of time reviewing it before I, sent it over. So it's a great tool. Doug, go ahead.
Uh, I do not have my hands up. But anyway, I do have something to share. Uh, jumping on these Zoom calls for me, anyways, that community we're talking about, and the manifestation of your chart, right? Your flow chart you showed on in your presentation. I don't think I could have seen through that chart if it wasn't for these shares and participation and seeing what everyone's all about, what they're doing. So all these stories all come into, it helped me clarify, how things work. And when you throw in your flow charts of the mechanics behind this, it gives me the I see things very clear, and I can see, like Enrich as a whole has all these different arteries, right? That goes into commercial, or someone that specializes in Manulife One, like yourself and Iryna. So all these different arteries, right? Once we see that clear, now we can start, moving things around on what we do, and nothing gets stuck. You know what I mean? So I've got a few examples already that I'll share in the next session, that is just manifested and I could see through because of discussions and showing up to these different Zoom meetings. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's running through my head.
Yeah. And it's such an important, um, it's such an important piece to identify, yeah, that you can't be everything to everyone. And the power of saying no can actually bring you more business. And it can be hard to believe for especially for new agents and even for experienced agents. You go through a little lull in your business, or whatever it is, and you decide that, somebody calls you about something you wouldn't normally do, and you decide to do it, and it ends up sucking a whole bunch of more of your time because you're not necessarily familiar with it. And then all of a sudden your other business starts coming in and picking up maybe at that time. And now you're stuck trying to figure out this other deal, but you've compromised on new stuff that's coming in because you took on something that you wouldn't normally do. And that can happen. So it's really such an important piece to have that clarity of what of what you will and won't do, right? What are your values? What lanes do you want to play in? And sticking to those lanes until, maybe until you feel that you've perfected them and you have the capacity and the space to take on learning more. And sometimes, for new agents, that's where it is. Even for an experienced agent, like I said, for myself, about new to Canada, I'd have to feel like I really had the capacity to take that on, and I really wanted to start drawing in those types of clients for me to go and do that.
Because there is also different mentality, right? And like for us, it's the opposite. Like as immigrants, we always felt like the ultimate goal is eventually to become like a realtor and mortgage broker for everybody, not necessarily our community only. But then Alex and I, we realized that the amount of effort it will take us to get to that level is way more than we need to do by staying in our community. And we provide way better service for our community, a lot more value. And I think, yeah, sometimes we have those ideas, and until we test them, we're like, we don't know the answer. And
Yeah.
because we tested working with other nationalities, right? And it's just very different. And it's a lot more difficult for us. And I think for clients as well, it's like we still give them good service, but I don't think they appreciate it as much as well as, let's say our community. And so for us, it was a choice we made, not by accident. We made that choice by testing, and we're like, okay, we will just grow the share in our community, and we'll become the biggest fish in our smaller pond as opposed to a small fish in the big ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not everybody can live where Donalda does. That's a great example, Irina. Like it's just a testament to how you focused in on what your clear message is for the people that you want to attract, right? And so,
And even when we do some, let's say now we are getting more and more not first time home buyers, but it's their, like, let's say second property, can like move
yeah,
up. And so now we need to attract people who want to sell and buy. And we had a discussion, what marketing message we should send out there. And one of our realtors, she was pushing, oh, come to us and we'll show you how to sell the best way possible and get the most money and all of this. And I said, I don't want to do that. Like in today's market, we cannot promise that.
Yeah.
Like we cannot promise that we
Mhm.
will sell for the highest price. It's not the market for it. We have to talk to their need for a new, and I know it from my experience. Usually people who buy their next property, they're not necessarily the ones who scrambled to get the money, Usually they have probably enough savings, they want bigger house, they want better lifestyle. So their main goal is not necessarily to get the most for their previous house. Their goal is to find the house that they will work well for their next phase in life. And in a way, we need to speak to that next phase in life more than, getting the most for their house.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great. That's a great way to look at dialing into their future and their vision for their
Yeah.
future, right? What they value and then resonating with it. So that's and there's nothing that says that as a mortgage broker, you can't do the same, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think if your main message is that we'll give you the most money for your house, then you will attract people who are not necessarily motivated to move, but
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I'll try,
The
if I
same with the
sell it
lowest rate,
for,
right?
yeah,
If all your marketing is the lowest rate, and then
yes,
somebody comes to you and your rate based on their situation isn't the lowest rate, well, now you've broken that trust and they don't believe that you're marketing. So now when they see your marketing, they're going to scroll past it because they're like, well, no, that's not true. That because you can't actually get, that rate's not available, whatever. So that's something to
yeah,
be aware of. Go ahead, Jackson.
Yeah, I kind of can maybe add on to Iryna's thought process and everything. Is like, I guess maybe in terms of maybe client first thinking. I've been working with a client on the real estate side, right? And obviously I'm like, finance guy and very cost conscious, right? And we've put in a few offers and it's gone into multiples and we've lost out on it each time. And part of it is I would say it's maybe me being very conservative and very cost conscious of for the client, but I think knowing the market kind of and their timing and their needs, right? Learning how to, I guess, adapt myself and uh, it could be outside of my own comfort zone, but it's kind of like within, like if it's within their risk um tolerance for themselves, like maybe don't project my own risk
Mhm.
tolerance onto them
Yeah.
and try to, because I would say I'm almost the one that's hindering them from buying at this point, right? And that's not what I'm trying to do, but it is kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah. We have to be so careful to not bring our own beliefs and ideas into the equation about what we would do. To do it based on listening to the client and acknowledging and understanding where they are, what they want and need, where they want to go to, and how we can support them in that by offering them information that is pertinent to them making an informed decision without, and if they ask for our opinion, then at that point, when they ask for our opinion, would you do this? Would you get this mortgage? Would you buy this piece of property? Until they ask your opinion, you have to kind of keep your opinion to yourself, so to speak. But share knowledge and information, add value that helps them lead them to making their own choice and decision as to what will be. Anybody else have anything else they want to add as a follow-up to today's conversation?
Hi there. I just want to ask you about Claude. How secure is Claude for personal information? If you're, say, using it to be like an assistant to help you out, here is that so no one could like steal any information, say, if you're to do stuff.
So as is with most AIs, you need to use a paid AI if you're going to put any kind of personal information, upload any personal information into Claude for review or any AI for review. So Claude Cowork is the paid version that you can use.
And it's secure.
And it's secure. You have to understand how you're going to use it and what your intent is to use it before, as part of that. Like if you want to use something for evaluating documents and reviewing documents, well, that's where like PureLend already has that security and has set themselves up to be able to do that.
Okay.
So be careful with trying to reinvent the wheel, so to speak.
Okay.
Something like Claude Cowork is great for helping to generate marketing ideas, maybe to manage files, maybe to help organize and manage your email, things like that. May not be the best solution for reviewing and analyzing client documents.
Okay.
Can it
And
do it? Yes. Can you point it to the folder and tell it to do it? Yes. Do you want it to do it? Unless you fully understand all the security implications and everything of your responsibility.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, if nobody else has anything else, that's all we've got for today. I hope you all have an amazing weekend and go and crush it. Be clear on your message and bring transformation for people.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much,
Keith.
Keith.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Keith.
Have a great one.
Thank you.